Hello, everybody. This is LeVar, aka Ramsey, the editor-in-chief of Snub Magazine, and today we have a very special sit down with us. We have a very special guest. Many of you seen her before, but what we do on the sit down, as many of you know, is we don't introduce our guests. We let our guests introduce themselves. So I'm going to pass it over to you and let you introduce yourself to the world.
Hi guys, my name's Jazlyn Martin. I'm gonna leave it at that. Keep it real simple.
Small, short, personal. I like it. I like it. I like it.
That's my name.
Right. So let's jump right into it. Like I tell my guests all the time, it's just a general conversation. I don't want to keep it interview style, so we just have a general conversation back and forth. So let's just start off kicking it off. Many times in this industry, we walk into it, and I know for myself, it wasn't nothing that I thought about. It was not even in my thing. Growing up, it was like, yeah, I see it on TV. I think about it and I have a passion for it. But growing up from where I am, it's like everybody don't always. That's just the dream. That's what it is. But for you growing up, you have some background with some things. So how was it for you? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I guess the way my parents always say is like, we always knew you were gonna be a star, and that could sound corny or whatever, but I always just had like so much energy growing up, and my dad's a musician, my mom's a dancer, so art was always surrounding me, and it was just this burning passion inside me that I wanted to create, that I wanted to pretend to be other people, that I wanted, you know, to sing and dance. And I don't know, I think growing up in LA, it did seem attainable. Um, it'd probably be different if I grew up like in the Midwest or something, but because I was surrounded by it my whole life, I was like, oh, I can get there, and I will.
Definitely, definitely. And so having that background, was there ever for you, did you ever seem like it was pressure? Because sometimes when we walk into those arenas of things where somebody may have something already or there's something already established, it's like, okay, now we're passing it, basically passing the mantle to you, I want to
Right.
say. So did you ever feel like there was pressure in that?
Um, not from my family, thank God. They were very supportive and they didn't put much pressure on me. Maybe from like the outside world, from like maybe comparing myself to people, but I've done a lot of work, and um I've gotten really good at not doing that anymore. And just, letting things be as they're supposed to be, instead of being like, oh, I should have got that, or I should be here, or I should be doing this. I like to think rejection is God's protection. So I'm exactly
Mhm.
where I be.
And I think you touched on something because I think a lot of people many times look at other people for validation. Like
Mhm.
they look around and they're like, oh, I have to be like this person or I have to be like that person. And instead of just being your genuine self, and that sometimes take you further than
It
what
does take you further. Like, people don't want to copycat. People want to see like what you authentically bring to the table. They want to see you, not a different version of someone else.
definitely, definitely. And so we're coming to a state now where, we've seen you on several um different film series. What is the process of that before I say what series and everything like that? Well, what is the process for you preparing yourself to walk into either do the auditions or getting ready to just try to take on that role? I know for myself, whenever, even when I get ready for the carpet, if I have to go and step on it and talk a certain way, or even when I do interviews, I'm the type of person, I gotta take an hour. Like to just, I need silence. That's me. That's my little niche. I need an hour of silence. I just need to like just wind down because the anxiety or something picks up, and then
Yeah.
boom, right when I walk in, it's like, okay, well here's Ramsey. Da da da. So what is it for you?
It's a good question. I've been training with Diana Castle, who's amazing. And what I like to do is, take the story, the ingredients in the story, and sit with it every day for at least an hour to really create this world. Because I think a lot of times actors just say words and
Mhm.
creating the world behind it. So, I'll imagine where I grew up, the neighborhood I grew up in, what my parents were like, the traumas that I've dealt with, like little details, like what's my favorite food, because all of those are such specific human traits that I, Jazlyn, have. So why wouldn't the character I'm playing have that as well?
Right.
So I like to just dive in and not just step into the shoes, but really make the shoes fit me.
Mm.
And so yeah, I really like to just go through life and the world in that perspective. And then it kind of just sets everything into place.
Definitely. So we're going to talk about, of course, one of the series that everybody saw you on, which was recently on the show Bel-Air, which I'm going to tell you this. I was skeptical when I saw Bel-Air pop up because it's a classic. You know, when they do reboots,
Oh,
it's like, oh God, come
no, no,
on.
I was the same way. I said, okay, here we go. Here we go.
Right. But then as the story had like twisted turns to it, it's like y'all took a classic series and just mixed it up and threw it back at us, like, and then had the same characters but flipped on every aspect. So you walked in as Jackie, which was, if I remember on the Fresh Prince, was Tyra, right?
Mhm.
So now, so now we have this role that you walked in, which was another big figure that was in that role, whose shoes you kind of had to fill because you rebranded it yourself when you walked in for that role.
Yeah.
What was that like getting that position, maybe the audition, stepping into it, and then playing that role for you?
For me, I just wanted it to be authentic and true. Growing up in LA, um, I hear a lot of the stereotypes and negative connotations of girls who grew up like in South Central or Inglewood, and I didn't want to contribute to that. I think they're very, very strong, and they've had to because out of survival. And I wanted that to be true to Jackie. Growing up with no parents, you've had to grow up fast and become independent and strong and take care of yourself. And growing up in South Central, it's like kill or be killed. So I really wanted to show the strength in her and her perseverance, and why she is the way she is. I think people are very quick to judge and be like, I don't like her. She's
Right,
blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why don't you ask why she's like that though?
right, right. And I think that's something deep that you said right there because even just in our community, people of color, we see that no matter what room we walk in, we
Yeah.
don't have that space where we can just be ourselves. Our past is always like either
Always.
behind us or people that have done stuff to them. It becomes our burden to carry.
Yeah.
And so that's a major good point that you said that it's like, you know what, I went into that role playing what we go through, what we actually experience, because that's not an easy thing to carry, you know? And so when you're playing Jackie and you're playing with all these, the whole cast is like, y'all, I'll say this. I said this before on other conversations, but you can tell when a cast is like a family. You can watch a show and be like, nah, they're not clicking. But the
Yeah.
way that all of you like it folded and came together in a certain way that it became like a masterpiece. What was it like being on set for you when you walked into the room?
Honestly, it was very overwhelming. It was refreshing. It was just like I always say, like I'm the new girl here. So like I kind of low key feel like I got eyes on me, like, all right,
Right,
let's see what she brings to the table. And I do like that because I'm like, all right, let me show you.
right, right.
But they were so warm and welcoming, and it really was a big family. Like they weren't like exclusive, they're very like welcoming and just I don't know, it was so much fun to go on set every day. Because it didn't feel like work. It just felt like me expanding my family.
Definitely. And that again is something where like you can tell with it being a passion, it doesn't feel like work. Like even
Yeah.
sometimes when I do things, it's like this is and people call me like, what you doing? They're like, are you always working? It's like,
But
yeah,
it's not work.
right, right.
You're like, I enjoy doing it. I think
Right.
we need to like rebrand and reframe what work is, because a lot of the times work is just like, oh, I gotta go to work. But
Yeah.
when you love what you're doing, it's like, oh no, I will work every day because I
Yeah.
love it.
And you're energized and
Yeah.
and that aspect. And then on another note, I was telling one of my peoples as well. I was talking to them and I was letting them know like they sometimes don't understand schedules. When you're working in this industry, they do not understand schedule. It's like if you're my friend, pick up at this time. I don't care what it is. If I call you, you're my friend. Like that's the role you still got to play. But what is it like for you? Because as you know, in the entertainment world, it could be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. If they say show up, you gotta get dressed, let's go, show up. Or if you gotta be at an event or anything like that, um, how do you keep yourself balanced with working and family and friends all at one while doing it?
I think this season was a really good testing season for me, because I'm also, or I just finished school too. So I
Okay,
was,
congrats.
thank you. I was in school too, balancing all of it. And I definitely had moments where like Jazz, I'm very overwhelmed. Like, I had to like breathe and like sit with myself and be like, how are we gonna do all of this? But I guess, I have a great community around me that constantly is pouring into me. So when I feel like I'm drained or I have, not like much energy to continue, I love to reach out to my community and they're like, you're strong, you are this, you are this, you are this. Because it really is a support system for me that helps me like propel into whatever else I need to do. But it's really hard. It's because it's like we have to work on our self-care, mental health,
Yeah.
family, friends, events. But I think it really is, do you enjoy doing what you're doing? And luckily I do, so it doesn't feel too draining sometimes.
Yeah, I've been in that situation as well. I'll say I just being in school, that studying, getting ready for finals, and the teacher doesn't, the professor, the instructors don't care. I was at Howard. I was hurt.
Oh my
I was hurt. I was sitting there and they would just do things to you. You'd be like, I gotta get on a plane and like
God. Really, I
right.
got
I don't have time to this. And then
I
you
have an
sometimes
event in 30 minutes, so can
right. And I don't know if you ever had it to where it's like, do I really need to finish this right now? Like, do I need
oh, 100 me the last 2 weeks, I was like, would it be bad if I drop out?
right?
I'm like, should I consider it?
Right.
But no, I love what I'm going to school for. I love my work. I love, like going to the events. So, if it was things I didn't love to do, I'd understand. But
Yeah,
I love everything I'm doing. So
definitely. So we know you can dance because we've seen it on there. We know you can sing. We know you can act. Is there anything that a musician, right?
mhm.
Okay, besides those three, well, four. Yeah, we're not gonna do triple no more. But is there something else that you tap into where it's like that's what I want to do? That's my space. That's my little niche to go to when I want to, get away from all of this.
Yeah. Um, I guess what I'm going to school for right now is kind of my getaway from the art world. I'm going to school for, it's a long list. My major my major is psychology, and then I'm a double minor in political science and wildlife biology. So all of that's rooted really in activism.
Mm,
Um, and whether it be for, I'm vegan, so whether that be for animal rights or Black Lives Matter or housing, whatever it is, I have a big heart for activism. And I think psychology is just very, very helpful within my acting and within political, the political world.
right.
I think we
And
need more psychology within the
I,
political.
my sister, she was doing it, and then she stepped away from it because she was doing other things. But she's like, because after that, you got to go further and further, and yeah, I get the whole thing. I get the whole schooling thing. I'm studying right now for the LSAT, so
Bless your
while
soul.
doing all of this, so I know where you're. I believe me, everything you're saying right now, you're preaching to someone that understands the whole thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard. It's,
yeah,
it's balancing all of it, but I think boundaries is also a very central thing. Like you're able to say no to things. Like
and And that's what I was going to get on with that. I think sometimes people don't understand that when you say no, it's not me saying no because I just want to be mean and I don't want to be there. It's that I have to set this because it's not, my body's going to say, I'm going to go. Like, I'm just going to go everything.
And I think I've gotten to the point where it's like, I of course I'm not going to come off mean, but if you take that as mean, I can't control how you feel. I can't. Like,
Right.
you should know me well enough what my intentions are and my impact is. But no, boundaries is very essential to me to be like, this is as much as I could do, and I'm okay with that.
Right, right. Going back to a statement that you were talking about, well, kind of in your studies as well, you're talking about activism, and something that's big in our community that we're seeing. I want to say it was before, and kind of Fresh Prince was kind of that of people of color being in entertainment. We're seeing it on our screens. How important is it for people of color to be on the screen? Representation, seeing yourself in a space that you're like, you know what, that's me. Because some of us that were growing up were like, I didn't really have all of that. I didn't get that. But now seeing it progressing, how important is that to you?
I mean, that's a loaded question.
I know.
um, I think it's just beautiful to see our stories being told by people that look like us, and not versions of our stories being told by what someone thinks our story is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a true reflection of who we are in our culture and community rather than like a mockery. So I think a lot of times Black and brown stories have been written by non-Black and brown people, and it's just not true to our life, to our struggles. And I think it's also helpful to see Black and brown struggles on the screen because now we can actually kind of pinpoint like, oh, that's what I'm going through too. I didn't know what it was before, but that's like mental health, for example.
Right.
Mental health is, not new, but I think it's new in the Black and brown community because we've never really had the luxury to like reflect. We've always been like, we need to survive.
Yeah.
And that's our main focus. But now that we see mental health on screen on people that look like us, it's like, oh, maybe that's something I should pay attention to. That's actually, yeah, that is what I'm going through. So I think it's a reflection, but it's also what's the word? Kind of like what's the word?
Good.
Kind of like a birthing
Okay.
of
Okay.
like, yeah, I really don't know what the word would be.
No, yeah.
Like a reflection and like a birth of a new set of ideas, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know for me watching it and seeing it, like you were saying, it's pinpointing some things you may pinpoint as it being something I grew up with, and I didn't know that's what triggered me to get to
Yeah.
this point or get to that point. And you sit there, you're like, wait a minute, like, okay, nothing was wrong with me. Because if you notice, a lot of times there's certain labels that are put on us. Oh, they're too hyper. So let's
Yeah.
give them this medicine or let's do it. And it's like,
That's the word I'm looking for, diagnose.
yeah. Okay.
We kind of diagnose ourselves
Yeah.
based off what we see on the screen.
Yeah. And then people don't people don't understand even in schooling when I was doing my schooling, you touched on it. Just understanding that it hasn't been that long that situations in like civil rights and going further, it's not that long ago. You know what I'm saying? We're just
Happening. It's still
yeah,
happening.
yeah. Like I went to an event the other day and we were talking about it, and one of the people who was on the panel was talking that her daughter came up to her and said she wanted to meet Ruby Bridges. And I was like, Ruby Bridges, like, and she had to stop for a second. She was like, oh my God, like she's still alive type thing. And she told the little girl was telling her how old she was. And she was like, she's in her 50s. No, she's not. It's not. And then she went back and looked and was like, oh my God, it hasn't been that long. And I think a lot of people don't understand it hasn't been it hasn't been that long that we've dealt with these things. So we're carrying stuff that's literally our parents possibly could be the carrion.
I mean, we're carrying it too. Like I
Yeah,
always,
yeah,
racism and segregation and slavery,
it's still there. It's just
they're not
modernized.
disappeared. They didn't disappear. They're just reshaped.
It's very much modernized. I
Mass
grew up.
incarceration, gentrification, like these are all still colonial ideas.
Yeah, I'm a boy that grew up in the South, so I believe me. Seeing it across the street was a Confederate flag. It just
Oh,
looked like you saw all that, but people don't understand that can mentally mess you up growing up. So it's like, can I really get out? Am I going to get out? Am I, like just those little factors that play
yeah.
onto.
It's definitely like a fight outwardly of the systems and society that's been set in place to make sure we don't succeed, but it's also our mind too, because our mind has been colonized as well. So it's we're fighting the world and we're fighting ourselves too.
Right. And then you go back to saying that a lot of people don't understand that they forget the motives of our like ancestors, how they even pushed through that. You forgot that part of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, yeah, y'all put all this stuff on you, but do you understand that like we can break every single time out of these situations? It's like, and that's a hard burden again to carry that you're like, I have to. So yeah, that was I had to touch on that real quick because you brought that up. So what's next for you? Uh, just in the mindset of what you want to do next. Is there anything that in the world that you want to step in? Do you want to produce soon and become a film writer, or what's next for you? Because you've already checked off like a good bit of boxes already.
I know for sure next I want to put out music.
Okay.
So I've been in the studio a lot. Definitely want to put out music, and I definitely want to start working with organizations and foundations. That's a big. That's where my heart lies a lot. Just helping the community and serving.
Definitely. So we do a thing here on the sit down. We have 3 questions. Some have different parts to it because we have the number 3 in
Okay.
Snub.
Right.
But we ask these 3 questions always to our guests when they come on. Whether or not you know it, uh, you're a role model.
Okay.
You're all right.
Yes.
And because you're a role model now, there could be someone that's watching today or have watched you on the screens already on the plenty of films that you have already did or the series that you already did. And they're like, you know what? I want to get to that level where she's at. I want to get to those points. What kind of advice would you give to that individual that's looking at you right now as that role model of I want to be like her?
Um. Hmm. But they want to be like me. I'd say don't be like me. I would say don't be like me, be like you. And that takes a lot of shredding and redesigning and then reevaluating. That just takes a lot, to really figure out who you are and what you have to offer. But I would say to get to where you'd want to be, persevere, I say is such an important thing. I think we can easily be discouraged and be told to stop and that our dreams are small or they're not attainable. And I would say I think it was the no's that really pushed me to keep going. It's like no, no, I'm gonna get so many no's, but one day I'm gonna get a yes.
Right.
Um, and I think it's because I persevered, or I know it's because I persevered that I got the yes. I could have easily stopped every time I got rejected, but I think that is really rooted in your purpose of like why you're doing this. If you're not rooted in that, then you will be easily discouraged. But I am very rooted in why I want to do this and what I want to do, and nothing will stop me.
Definitely. Don't see that was it. That wasn't too bad. You're like, oh God. um, what are 3 words that best describe who you are as a person?
Um, ooh, goofy,
Okay.
um, vibrant, and oh, I'd say intelligent.
Okay. And why would you choose vibrant?
Vibrant because I feel like I don't let people dim my light. I like to exude my lightness to then show others that they can light up too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there could be anybody past, present, that you could be for one day, who would you want to be and why?
That I could be them or meet them.
You could be them for one day. Like if there was like just one person, he's like, you know what, I want to be in their shoes for one day. Who would you want to be for that day? So let's just say we give you what was it, like Cinderella, throw the slipper on for 24 hours and there you go. You that person for one
Oh, I have never thought about that before.
day. I told you we switch it up sometimes and we can talk deep and they was like curveball. Go ahead. You got it.
Uh-huh. I don't know. Oh, who would I want to be for a day? I don't know if I'd want to be anyone.
That
It's
could be
already
your
hard
answer.
being Jazlyn. I don't know if I would want to be someone else.
We could go with that. It's whatever you give on that.
You know,
I'm not gonna tell you what people have said on it. I'll tell you after, but whatever your final answer is, then we'll go with that and then I'll give you.
I'd say Beyonce.
Okay. Why would you want to be here for a day?
I want to see. This doesn't sound terrible, but like I'm intrigued to know how she balances everything and like what she goes through behind the doors. Because I think we see Beyonce and she's this glamorous, non-human person. But I'm really intrigued to know like what are the dark parts and what are the parts that she chooses not to show us. Yeah.
I think people forget that she's human.
Yeah.
I
People
think a
think,
lot of
oh,
times,
she's
yeah.
just she's
And
Beyonce.
even yeah, but even sometimes like what we do on the aspect, I think people forget that part. It's like you put people so far on a pedestal, and it's like you don't know back. I could I could be having an eating disorder. I could be like in the medical like breaking down. Like I can't put when we get out there, it's like lights on, let's go. Like people don't
Yeah.
understand the switch that has to, so
And
that's
she does it so well. She does
yeah.
it so well. So yeah, I would love I think that and allow her to be human.
Okay. Well, that is all the questions. You see, it was
The
easy, simple, to the point.
last one got me though. I was like,
It's cool. But let everybody know how they can follow you on all social medias, contact you, however it is, as far as like on social media, how they can follow you.
okay. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Jazlyn Martin, just my name, and then trying to get on this whole TikTok game. I don't know how I'm feeling about it
I haven't
though.
got on it yet.
Yeah, it's I'm not a huge social media person, but I gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah, with branding and everything. Yeah, believe me, I get it. Definitely get
You get it. We
it.
get
Right,
it.
we get it. I see you. I see you.
I see you, you see me, we're seen.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Of
on Sit
course.
Down.
Thank you.
It went really, really good. It was a conversation. I don't feel like we pulled any teeth with you today. So thank you. You knocked it out the
Thank you. I appreciate you and your time.
Absolutely. And we got some other things that we've reached out to your team about. So y'all might see her on something else soon. But but yeah, we'll get that set up as well. But it was an honor and privilege. Keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You got it. And school wise,
Yeah, it's summertime. I'm about to be.
right. And whatever, if there's ever anything, any projects that you have going on, definitely reach out to us. Let us know. We'll definitely support you on those things.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great day. All right.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.